I used to travel constantly for work. Most of the time, I stayed in cheap but decent hotels, just places with a bed and a bathroom, nothing fancy. I never worried about danger or strange people, nothing bad had ever happened. That changed during a training trip to a small town in Pennsylvania. The hotel I checked into looked ordinary enough: tiny lobby, faded red carpet, a smell that reminded me of my grandmother's living room. The woman at the front desk handed me my room key, and I took the elevator to the third floor. The hallway was so quiet it felt abandoned. My room was simple: small bed, a desk, and a bathroom. I tossed my bag on the mattress, turned on the TV, showered, and tried to sleep after the long drive. Sometime after midnight, I woke up to a sound, something sliding across the floor. At first, I brushed it off as a noise from the hallway or the ice machine, but then I heard it again, much closer, right outside my door. I turned on the lamp. Something white was sticking out from underneath the door. I got up slowly, walked over, and picked it up. It was a folded note. Inside, written in shaky handwriting, were a few words. "I'm watching you from somewhere inside the hotel." My heart started pounding. The hallway was silent, no footsteps, no voices. I didn't know if I should open the door or stay inside. In the end, I locked the chain and sat with my back against the wall, lamp on, eyes wide open. 20 minutes later, the noise came again. A second note slid under the door, slowly, like someone was pushing it with their finger. This one was worse. It said the person had been inside my room earlier that day, and they enjoyed watching people sleep in this hotel. The handwriting was even shakier. Fear hit me so hard I couldn't think straight. I checked everywhere, under the bed, the closet, the shower, though I knew no one was there. Still, I couldn't shake the feeling I wasn't alone. I decided that if a third note came, I'd leave immediately. For a long time, nothing happened. I started to relax, and then the third note slid under the door slower than the others. I picked it up with trembling hands. I'm inside the room again. I froze. I turned in a full circle, searching every corner. Nothing, but the fear was unbearable. I grabbed my bag and looked through the peephole. Empty hallway. I unlatched the chain, opened the door, and sprinted out. When I reached the stairs, I glanced back. At the very end of the hallway, I saw a shadow slip behind the corner. Downstairs, a different employee was working. He looked groggy but confused when I told him what happened. He said only 3 other guests were on my floor. He came upstairs with me to check the room. Everything looked normal, except for one thing. The window latch was broken, recently broken. That was enough for me. I grabbed my bag, checked out after 3 a.m., and drove to another hotel miles away. A few weeks later, I stayed at a hotel in Virginia during a long drive. It was almost midnight, and the place looked clean but deserted. The man at the front desk barely spoke. My room at the end of the hallway looked fine, but just slightly off. Tilted lamp, drawer cracked open, the blanket wrinkled like someone had sat on it moments before. I tried to shake the feeling and fell asleep. I woke up to the doorknob turning slowly. Then the sound of a key sliding into the lock. A gentle push. Light from the hallway spilled through the tiny gap. Then, nothing. No voice, no footsteps. I barely slept after that. Around 2:15 a.m., I woke to rustling in the room. Someone was inside. In the darkness, next to my bag, stood a shadowy figure. I whispered, voice shaking, "Who's there?" A deep man's voice replied, "Housekeeping. Sorry, I'll leave now." He slipped out the door. I turned on the lights. My bag had been searched. I called the front desk. The employee insisted no housekeeping staff were on duty. Police were called. Surveillance footage showed a large man pacing the halls, returning to my door repeatedly, and eventually entering my room with a key. He didn't work there. The front desk claimed he must have stolen a master key. I got a refund and fled. Months later, on a hiking trip in New Jersey, I checked into another cheap hotel. The place smelled old, the hall lights flickered, and the woman at the front desk said housekeeping had already cleaned everything for the night. But later, when strange noises in the room woke me, I realized something was wrong. Breathing came from the closet. The door had moved on its own. I ran downstairs, but the lobby was empty until the woman reappeared and insisted no one had keys except her and one housekeeper who had gone home hours earlier. I switched rooms. Around 1 a.m., the sound of a housekeeping cart echoed down the hallway. Slow, squeaky wheels. It stopped outside my new door. Someone was breathing on the other side. Heavy, slow, just like the breathing in the first room. And then, a soft sound, like a palm pressing against the door. When I finally checked out at sunrise, a different employee was working. I told him what happened. He looked uneasy. Then he said something that still disturbs me. "We haven't had a housekeeper for a week. She just stopped showing up. She still had all her keys." I left that hotel and never looked back. Months later, I took a night shift job at a hotel. One summer night, after a strange incident in the pool room, I responded to a maintenance request in room 324. Inside, the temperature suddenly dropped. Something thumped outside the bathroom. When I stepped out, I saw a tall, featureless black figure standing motionless in the corner of the room, like a silhouette with no face, no eyes. It moved, and I ran. I quit early that night and drove home in silence, trying to process what I saw. I still don't know what that thing was. I only know it wasn't human, and I'm grateful nothing like that has happened since, because that was, without question, the most terrifying night of my life.